Bonjour, c'est moi. It's Jennifer, your French teacher in the south of France, and I'm back today with a new French grammar video for you. I know it's been a while. If you've been a follower of my channel, you've probably thought, what in the world happened to Jennifer? I just got caught up in a bunch of new projects last year, and anyway, it's my objectif this year to put out more and more French grammar videos for you. So I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. And I want you to notice that I said objectif. I did not say résolution because I don't like that word, résolution. This is an objectif, but it's a real big one for me. And so I'm just looking at myself and I see this glare in my glasses, and that's why I keep moving around. Sorry, you guys. These are some little readers that I have to put on or else I can't see anything. I had some nice fancy glasses that got stepped on over the Christmas holidays. So anyway, we're just going to have to deal with this for now. Bear with me. Today, our lesson is going to be about the French present conditional, but not just how to form it. What we're going to be talking about specifically today is how to say should, could, and would, because believe me, a lot of my students really get stuck on that. So let's get right to it then. Should, could, or would, French present conditional tense lesson. Voila, given to you by me, Jennifer. All right, so how do you say that you should do something, that you could do, or that you would do something in French? And when I tell you that many of my students get stuck on this, the one that really trips a lot of people up is would. So we're going to go through that. I'm going to give you some examples. And I think that by the end of the lesson, you're going to feel a lot more confident about how to use this in your conversation. All right, so you simply need to use the French conditional tense to say should, could, or would, but which verbs are you supposed to use? Well, we're going to get to that in just a minute, but maybe it's important first to talk about and how to remind you how to form the French conditional tense. So it's really simple thing to do because, when you're forming tenses in French, a lot of tenses, you first have to start out by finding a stem, and then you add endings to that stem. So for the conditional tense, you find your stem by using the full infinitive of the verb in question, if it's a regular verb. So if you have a verb like voyager, which is a regular ER verb, you just use that full infinitive as your stem, and then you add your endings. And if you have a regular IR verb like finir, then you do the same thing. You use the full infinitive, and then you add your endings. Now, if you have a verb like répondre, you see how I haven't put the E on there? That's because when you have a verb like répondre, or even other verbs that are not regular RE verbs, you have to drop the E before you add the endings to them. So, there are lots of other verbs that end in E, even in RE, that are not regular. Like, let's think, for example, mettre, prendre, for example. In the conditional, those are not irregular. So you'll see what I mean in just a minute. Just remember, you have to drop the E when you are going to form the conditional using those. All right, so I taught you about finding the stem and then adding the endings, but what are the endings? Let's remember that for forming the French conditional tense, you start out with the stem and then you add the endings. And do these look familiar to you? So the AIS, AIS, AIT, IONS, IEZ, and AIENT, these are the imperfect endings. And I want to remind you that they are pronounced ion, ie. So over here where you see, for the il and el plural form, AIENT, a lot of people want to pronounce that I or something like that. It's not. It's pronounced just like the je, tu, and il form. So je ai, tu es, il est, ils aient. D'accord? Ça, c'est très important. All right, so some verbs have irregular stems in the present French conditional tense. I mean, it's not going to be French if you don't have something that's irregular about it. Now, you have a whole list of verbs that do use irregular stems in the conditional tense. But today we're going to look at two in particular, the verbs devoir and pouvoir. So the stem for devoir is DEVR. And then you go back and remember you're going to add your endings. Let's look at those again, okay? And then for pouvoir, your stem is POURR. And once again, you're going to add your imperfect endings. So why are we only going to look at these two today? Because these are the two verbs that you need to use if you want to say should and could. All right, so voila, that's why we're going to stick to those today, but I will give you an opportunity to see the full list here in a little while. All right, so let's carry on. Let's look at the present conditional conjugation of these verbs, and I'm going to say them slowly enough so that you can repeat them after me. So we'll start with the verb devoir, and remember just in the infinitive form, if you look up devoir in dictionary, it says must or to have to. But as soon as I say je devrais, guess what? It means I should. Okay, so devoir is, and pouvoir as well. These are two of the verbs that I very often refer to as power verbs, meaning that you can just follow them up with an infinitive. So je devrais, I should. Well, what should I do? I don't know, just stick some kind of infinitive on there. You know, je devrais regarder un film. I should watch a movie. Je devrais manger, something like that. All right, so repeat these after me. Je devrais, tu devrais, il devrait, nous devrions, vous devriez, il devrait. Now notice I'm not saying nous devrions, vous devriez. I'm saying nous devrions. It's the sound because there's no accent on that E, okay? Now let's look over at pouvoir. If you look it up in the dictionary, what does it mean? To be able to or can. So in the conditional, when I say je pourrais, it no longer means I can, it means I could. So je pourrais do whatever. Like I said with je devrais, I could watch a good movie. Je pourrais regarder un bon film. Je pourrais manger. I could eat. So let's go through the conjugation. Just repeat after me. Je pourrais, tu pourrais, il pourrait, nous pourrions, vous pourriez, il pourrait. Now, sometimes people have told me it's real helpful when you see my mouth when I pronounce this stuff. So for this verb, pouvoir, I want you to really look at me. You have to make an effort as an English speaker to stick your lips out when you speak French. So you can't just say je pourrais, tu pourrais, il pourrait. Make an effort with the R's. I know that's hard. But one thing you can do for sure, even if the R's are tricky for you, you can stick out your lips and you can speak like this. So, je, you have to do it even with the je because of the sound. Je pourrais, tu pourrais, il pourrait, nous pourrions, vous pourriez, il pourrait. And I'm really exaggerating the but you have to do that. And sometimes people tell me, I don't know how to do that. I can't make that sound, Just stick out your lips and it will come pretty naturally. Je pourrais. D'accord? Okay, allez, on y va, on continue. So, there you have it for should and could. If you should do something, you use devoir plus the infinitive. If you could do something, you use pouvoir plus the infinitive. But what in the world do you say when you just want to say would? Now, at this point, because if you've been following my videos or if you've taken lessons with me, if you follow my newsletter, you know that I'm really big into pouvoir, vouloir, and devoir. So a lot of people think, oh, now here's when vouloir is going to come in. It means to want. So maybe that means it would. No, you're not going to use vouloir to mean would. D'accord? So that's why I didn't even mention vouloir in the stems and everything. No, because you don't need to use it for this lesson. All right, but how do you say would? In order to say would, all you have to do is put the main verb of your sentence into the present conditional. And here's where it becomes really important to remember, okay, so what is the stem of my main verb? And anyway, Jennifer, what are you talking about, the main verb? So here's what, let's look at this first. Just remember, should do something, devoir, infinitive, could do something, pouvoir, infinitive, would do something, main verb in the conditional. And then I just didn't have space to write it, but you follow it up with an infinitive, okay, if you want to. You don't have to. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to show you some sentences in a little while. It's all going to make a lot more sense. So here are a few examples. As promised, comme promis, I should eat. Now remember, if I want to use the word should, I have to use devoir. So, je devrais manger. Je devrais manger. Power verb. You could travel. Tu pourrais voyager. Tu pourrais voyager. He would go there. Il irait. Ooh, what's that E doing there? Well, if you're studying the conditional, I'm assuming you've studied pronouns, and if you haven't, then you need to look up my video. Look up Love Learning Languages pronoun E, and you can learn all about it. A lot of times it means the word there in terms of location, so that's what that's doing there. Il irait. But the important thing here is, you see, he would go there. There's no word for would all by itself in French. Did you ever have anyone ask you, or did you ever ask a teacher or a French person, how do you say will? You don't. Because you can't say will on its own. Will, you have to use the future simple, right? Along with the verb that you want to put in the future. It's the same thing with the conditional. If you want to say someone would do something, then that something has to be put in the conditional. So here we're using the verb go, which is, as you know, aller, in the conditional. And yes, it's on the list of irregular stems. You could have guessed that. And that's why it's IR followed by the ending AIT. Il irait. Okay, let's carry on. We should take action. Nous devrions agir. Nous devrions agir. Did you know that verb? Agir, to take action. Okay? It can mean other things, but in this situation, it means to take action. You could come downstairs. Vous pourriez descendre. Quand même, après tout. Hein? Vous pourriez descendre. They would gain weight. Now notice how I put all of that would gain weight. That's all in red because we can't say would by itself. You have to put the word gain weight, the verb gain weight, into the conditional. So yes, maybe you've learned the verb grossir, which means to gain weight, and that's a cool verb. There's nothing wrong with it. But I chose to use prendre du poids because I thought maybe you didn't know that one. Prendre du poids means to gain weight, all right? It's just another way to say it. So they would gain weight. Notice here the verb prendre. Before I added the ending AIENT, I've taken the E off of the infinitive. Donc, il prendrait du poids. D'accord? So did you understand all of those examples so far? D'accord? What if you wanted to use the verb grossir instead of prendre du poids? How would you say that? They would gain weight using the verb grossir. Il, take your whole infinitive, grossir, and then add your ending, AIENT. Il grossirait. Il grossirait. Tac? Allez, on continue. So, actually, that's the end of the lesson, but I wanted to tell you that there's a lot in here. There's a lot in this lesson. I wanted to make it short so that you could get through it pretty quickly. But if you want the complete lesson guide and a no prep printable reference booklet, it's easy to get that, especially if you're a supporter of mine on Patreon. All you have to do is go in and log them down for free, and that's my way of saying thanks because I really appreciate your support on Patreon. If you don't know what Patreon is, well, then you can look it up down in the description of this video, and that's a way that you can help me and support me while I continue my objectif, not résolution, to continue making these lessons for you this year. But what I have for you, now mine's not in color because I don't have a color printer. I've scaled down. But this is the lesson guide that you get if you're a supporter of mine on Patreon. D'accord? All you have to do is go in and load it, download it, and then you also get this really cute little booklet that I've made. So here's what it ends up looking like. Oh, I've got papers everywhere. Here's what it ends up looking like, okay? So you just get this little handy reference booklet, okay? And when you print it out, it looks like this. But then you have to fold it over again, and then you get the cute little reference book that you can stick in your pocketbook or whatever, just to pull out. And it will come in especially handy if you decide to take my mini course. Because in my mini course, not only will you get the lesson guide. Now, on this lesson guide here, I've put the full list of most common irregular verbs that have weird stems in the conditional. And believe me, they're the same for the future simple. So it's worth learning them. I've also put 6 extra examples on here for you, as well as the imperfect endings and a couple of other little tricks. And then on the little booklet that I've formed for you, all of that's on there, as well as 12 more little examples that you can have handy and ready to go. Now, in the mini course, not only do you get that, but you also get a quiz to take. It's an online quiz where you can test yourself. And then there's a test, which is even more challenging. So if you are interested in taking that mini course, the description to that is also down in the link to that is also down in the video description. And if you already own my bundle of French courses at the Love Learning Languages French Academy, then this course is already yours. I've already added it to the bundle at no extra cost to you, because remember, every new course or mini course that I create, if you own that bundle, it's yours. So anyway, guys, if you're still here and listening to me, I'm really, really glad to be back. Believe me, it's been so long since I've made a video for you guys. I can't even believe it's been like over a year. Do you know I spent about 2 hours this morning? I'm going to take these glasses off. I spent about 2 hours this morning trying to remember how to make a stinking video. I mean, these are the kind of things, it's kind of like French. If you don't use it, you lose it. So that was a good learning experience for me this morning. I need to continue making videos so that I won't lose it. Guys, it was good talking to you. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And if you're not signed up for my newsletter, you really should do it, because I put something free in there every week and kind of let you know what's going on. So anyway, see you again next week. And if you have any I don't know, maybe some idea. Hey, Jennifer, why don't you make a video on this? Why don't you make a video on that? Hey, whatever. I'll take your advice. I'll do it for you. Sounds good? And I will see you très bientôt. À très bientôt. Et merci à tous. Ciao. Bisous. Oh, shoot. I thought the video was over.